Welcome to the Locked In Baseball Podcast. I'm William Locke. He's Luis Barranco. It is Monday, November 17th. We are at the still very beginning of the MLB offseason. We got a lot to talk about today. Luis, how's it going, my friend?
Welcome, man. I mean, it's November 17th. We're in the middle of football season. I mean, we just literally, we're hyped for baseball. But we were playing some Cancun music and we were chatting some college football. But, I mean, we had a lot of things happen in the baseball world. It's getting cold in Chicago. I heard it was in the 40s on I heard it was in the 40s on Saturday.
Not on Saturday. On Sunday, it was chilly. I was at the Michigan, kind of a baseball tie. I was at Michigan Northwestern at Wrigley Field, which was a unique experience. A little bit. I mean, we're in like the rough stage of the offseason. Like the season just ended. You know, the awards are all done, which we'll talk about later. And free agency just getting started. There's not really a ton going on. Again, like we said, we have a lot to get to today, though, because we've kind of curated some topics for you guys. But it was tough being in a baseball stadium and not being able to watch baseball. That said, it was a good football game on display.
Yeah, can we talk about how the MLB schedule is flawed in the offseason? Like, I just think it's just like in a lot of sports, like in NFL, you have day one, the new year, which is usually in March, and you see that huge splash of free agents. In NBA, that week after the draft, or the 2 nights after the draft, that weekend, you have that opening night of free agency, and you see that splash. In baseball, it's really like you're just kind of like it's like a lull. And, you know, in recent years, we talked about with the Freddie Freeman sweepstakes and the Cody Bellinger when he was a free agent. You kind of just wait all the way. It drags on into spring training, and it kind of just becomes a whole, saga going on for the offseason. Like there's literally no resolution, and it's not like things are happening. We go by Christmas, and there's a lot of really good free agents still unsigned, and that's like 2 months after the regular season has ended, and so then the postseason, excuse me. And I mean, that's something that MLB really has to fix. But I mean,
yeah, it's an interesting thought. I've heard a lot of people saying they should implement some type of free agency deadline so some of these moves take place earlier in the offseason. I can see that. I understand it from a player's side, like wanting to be able to negotiate the best possible contracts for your clients and stuff like that. But from a fan perspective, yeah, the way it just drags on. We're in early November. We've actually had one of the, top 10, top 15 free agent, depending on what source you look at, already signed. So that's good for the offseason. But like last year, a lot of times it's waiting until that top guy signs and then everything falls down. The rest of the dominoes fall. Last year was Juan Soto. Then everything happened after that. This year, I don't know if there's necessarily that big domino because Kyle Tucker isn't going to necessarily have that big of an impact, at least in comparison to Ohtani and Soto of years past. But yeah, I do think there should be something from MLB. I mean, we've seen MLB be more open to changing its league, the way it operates in recent years. I think they should be open to looking at the offseason again. Because to your point, like it shouldn't be a week away from spring training and guys are still signing, or even in spring training and guys are still signing.
Well, I mean, it happens. I mean, you can make the argument like during training camp in football and during the preseason, you have free agents signing those contracts. But MLB is the only sport that an agent gets his own press conference that people show up to. Scott Boras is the only agent. It just shows you the power of this one guy that has all the league. He gets his own little press conference, like MLB team style, with a bunch of media coming out, and he speaks on every single free. It's crazy enough. Like it doesn't happen in any sport. You don't see it in basketball. You don't see Rich Paul coming out. And we know LeBron loves the hype and loves the media attention, but you don't see Rich Paul coming out and doing a clutch sports media day and doing a whole, press tour. And in football, you don't see the big power guys in football doing it. Only Scott Boras. It just shows to you how, I don't want to say flawed of a system it is in baseball, but it just shows you like one of the big issues that we have. Like we're all for Scott Boras and negotiating the best contracts and adding drama, but man, it's the only sport that he gets his own. He's like a player.
Yeah, and he was up there with the Boris quote backdrop, and was speaking like he was Dr. Seuss, kind of trolling the media a little bit. Did some alliteration with Pete Alonso and the P's, Polar Pete, pillaging something. It was funny. But yeah, it's a good point. Like I've never really seen another agent. There's definitely not another agent that's as public as Boris. I guess Rich Paul
Which
would be the other one, yeah, for LeBron and stuff. Clutch Sports, which basically runs the NBA. But Boris basically runs Major League Baseball. And
it was Drew Rosenhaus in the NFL. And so it's crazy how he runs it. And I mean, yes, he has the top clients. And I mean, this year, he has the Japanese guys as clients. He also has Kyle Tucker. No, he's not a Tucker guy, but who else? I'm
Alonzo,
blanking. He has
Alonzo Bregman,
Alonzo Bregman. He's
Ellie.
there. And so I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, um, it'll be interesting to see, but it's been a lull. It's literally been a lull. Playing Cancun music. I'm deep in the off season. Like I started in the off season with Taylor Swift, with Sabrina Carpenter, and I'm getting to the point where I'm listening back to country music and Morgan. Well, we were country music a couple weeks ago. Now I'm going to like the Beethoven, the type and Mozart type of music
Oh
here.
wow. We've officially reached dark day. I mean, this is the toughest part of the offseason because it is the shortest days of the year. Like it's getting dark at 3:45, 4 o'clock right now in Chicago. At least like sun is starting to set. So it's been tough. On Boris, he is 73 right now. Just turned 73 this month. I wonder how many years he's gonna keep doing this until he ends up retiring.
Who knows? But we got a good pod set up today. I mean, that's a good opener. We're gonna talk about three things we keep our eye on, but we got two big news to start with the pod. I mean, first off, let's talk about one of the big first base dominoes. As you said, usually in free agents every year, there's one big domino that falls that kind of has a snowball effect and starts the signings. Last year it was Mr. Juan Soto. The year before, you could argue that it was the Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander free agencies that went to the Mets, and it kind of started the snowballing effect as to what would happen. You had Aaron Judge as well a couple of years back after Judge and Arson Judge signed with the Giants. It started a whole domino effect because then you had Xander go off the board and whatnot. But this year, Josh Naylor got to it. 5 years, $92 million will run to his 33-year-old season. Longest free agent deal the Mariners have given out during the Jerry DePoto decade, in charge as Seattle's baseball operations guy. Did give out a contract for Robbie Ray for 5 years, $115 million, and Kikuchi 4-year, $56 million in 2019. Robbie Cano signed 10-year, $240 million, and that was a few years back. But I mean, hey, we're kind of glad that the Mariners are spending this money. A team that was right there, they were a game away from the postseason. They were a couple outs away. You can argue on how that series went to the Blue Jays, and he was one of the big free agent guys who had a great year. They needed to fill that batting order. It's always been a problem there at T-Mobile. You need some bats. William, what is your thoughts regarding it?
Yeah, just on it matches the longest free agent deal they've given out in the DePoto era. And then the only other longer than 2-year deals they had given out was Robbie Ray and UC Kikuchi. And the Mariners had seemed to be a little bit hesitant to give out those big long-term deals since the Cano deal kind of was a failure. I mean, unmitigated failure for them. So they've been hesitant, but this is a big commitment. It was their priority number one this offseason. They made it very clear at the GM meetings last week that they're trying to bring Josh Naylor back. And I think he reciprocated that energy. He played even better in Seattle than Arizona last season. He had a 831 OPS in 54 games in Seattle, and in 93 games in Arizona, he had an 807 OPS. I think the biggest story for Naylor last season, outside of the power, which we know he's been a power bat for a pretty long time now, but the stolen bases kind of quietly, maybe not quietly, out of nowhere, he stole 30 bases for the Mariners or across both teams last season. And, his highest before that ever was 10. So, and we've talked about it ad nauseum that he's one of the slowest base runners in terms of sprint speed, StatCast numbers in all of baseball. He's a savvy base runner. He's a smart base runner. Not necessarily the best defender at first base, but serviceable. All time in his career, 55 stolen bases, only caught stealing 9 times. So smart base runner, can play some defense, not great. Hit for power, hit for a good average. I mean, hit 295 across both teams last year. Really had a career year. Maybe 23 and 24 were good too. Yeah, I love this deal for Seattle. Makes a lot of sense. A lot of thump in that lineup now with Raleigh, Julio. I don't think they'll bring back Suarez. It's going to be their young prospect probably playing third base for them next year, but makes a lot of sense. Since John Stanton's ownership group bought the team in 2016, the Mariners have only finished one season with a top 10 payroll. Um, I'm not sure they're going to get there this year, but this is a move in the right direction. About 18.5 a year for 5 years, full no trade clause as well. According to Dipoto, the Mariners started the offseason with about $34 million to spend, with maybe more money available at the deadline. So, quick maths, 34 minus 18 will get you at what, 16, about 16 million left for them to spend. We'll see what they do with it. I think bringing back Jorge Polanco would maybe make some sense, but yeah, good move. First domino off the board makes a lot of sense for both sides. I think this is we talked about this in the preview last week. I think we both had him going back to Seattle, just didn't really see him landing anywhere else.
I mean, yeah, let's talk about the big deal. It's a guy who hit in Seattle. He hit 299, slugging 490, on base percentage of 341. In Arizona, he hit 292. Very similar numbers. There wasn't a drop in production when they got traded. I mean, it's something, we talk about how hard and difficult a place that is, T-Mobile. I mean, the Mariners just gotta keep spending. I mean, I wanted to go see them get Murakami. I mean, they did say they were last season that they were at a high number for spending. They're saying they're gonna spend more. They got payroll flexibility, as you said, going at 165 million, which ranked 15 among 30 teams, largest in franchise history. That was a $15 million increase since 2024. I want to go see him get Murakami. Put that thumper in that lineup. You put in Murakami, Naylor, whoever they get at second base. Maybe I'm gonna play GM. It's time to play my GM mode here, franchise mode. What if you call up St. Louis? Brendan Donovan's available. They've been making him available. Put him at second base. You give up one of your young arms, not Wu. Maybe you give up a Logan Gilbert, or I don't know. You gave up Cade Anderson, I believe. He's their top prospect that they got in the draft. Because, I mean, what we hear from St. Louis is they want controllable arms. You swap one for Brendan Donovan, and, you got Naylor, Donovan, J.P. Crawford, Murakami, big dumper in the back, Julio. Let's ride, man. I think that's a really good lineup.
That would be nasty.
And Brendan Donovan adds positional flexibility. We talk about it when you're building teams, and I am wearing the Mariners tee tonight, in tune. When you're talking about, playoffs, what made Toronto so great? Positional flexibility. What were the Yankees doing in the trade deadline? Positional flexibility. You want to have these chess pieces that you can move around in the lineup, and you can move around defensively position. And like I said, Brendan Donovan is a fit for him. Like, he is a Gold Glove Award in 2022, was an All-Star in 25. I think it's a move you got to seriously consider as if you're Seattle.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense to me. Donovan has 2 more years of arbitration before becoming a free agent. So that's going to be a real trade. It's going to require some legitimate capital. Seattle has that in their myriad of arms, whether that's in the farm with Cade Anderson, their top pick last year in the first round, whether that be at the major league level. They do have some depth there that they can, trade away. And I think Seattle is very close. I mean, we saw it last year. They were a game away from making the World Series, lost 2 in a row and missed out. I think going all in this offseason would make a lot of sense for them. And we know in the Dipoto era, they haven't necessarily been big free agent spenders. This is kind of the first big deal outside of, Robbie Ray, where you're like, okay, Seattle is spending some serious money here. They've mostly been known to be big trade players. Randy Arozarena acquired via trade. Luis Castillo acquired via trade. Those were two marquee trades when they made them. We know Dipoto has a big trade up his sleeve. Brendan Donovan makes a ton of sense here, and I could see it.
And I mean, well, what do you say his contract numbers were again? So sorry,
5 years, 92.5.
No, Donovan.
Oh, sorry, he's got 2 more years until free agency. It's arbitration.
I mean, they got to make that move. And I mean, when you look at the Naylor contract, that's a steal. Who would you rather have, Christian Walker or Josh Naylor?
Josh Naylor every day of the week, not even a conversation.
Matt Olson or Josh Naylor?
Matt Olson.
I agree. Bryce Harper or Josh Naylor?
Bryce Harper, but it's a conversation after last year just because Harper was injured.
He's only at 18.5. 18.5 average AVV compared to Christian Walker at 20, Bryce Harper at 25. Guys getting paid more than him are Christian Walker at 20, Olsen at 21, Harper at 25, Chris Bryant at 26, Freddie at 27, Pete Alonso, we don't know, and Vlad. So I mean, this is a slam dunk move. I commend Seattle for making the move, but the job's not done for Seattle. Like, if I'm a Seattle Mariners fan, you really, really have to act like a Yankees fan or a Red Sox fan. Like, okay, you made the CS, you're right there. Like, this is expected. You need to go make other moves to get yourself over that hump. Like, this is like bare minimum. You should be getting, like, in dating terms, you should be getting the princess treatment. Like, you need to go getting like guys to surround. You need to go fill out that bullpen. I mean, we talked about their starters are great, but the bullpen, you got to make that bridge the gap to Andres Munoz better. They do have Matt Brash, who been dealing with injury, but you gotta find a way to bridge the gap. Go make these moves. Go get a Brendan Donovan. Go splash out for Murakami. Go find the DH that will be fitting next to Cal Raleigh. Maybe Harry Ford comes up and is that boost. But hey, you got to be all in. Seeing how open the AL is next season, you got to make these moves and do it.
Harry Ford is an interesting conversation. There was an MLB trade rumor article this week talking about how he could be the backup catcher behind Cal Raleigh because they lost JP Crawford. What's his name? Mitch Garver. He's a free agent. He was kind of he was their number 2 catcher behind Raleigh. Does Harry Ford come up and be that backup catcher, or did they think he's better than being a backup catcher because he was a highly touted prospect? Do they use him as a trade piece to go out and get whoever they want? Not whoever they want, but you know what I mean. Like, use him as a trade piece. Could be interesting. They have a lot of assets in that organization. They're not done. I think this is going to be a pretty active offseason for the Mariners. Not saying they're going to go out and splash and get Kyle Tucker, but they'll be active.
No. They don't need to go shopping at Neiman Marcus. They don't need to be shopping at Neiman Marcus or at the Gucci Prada store. They need to go shop at the Nordstrom, maybe even a little bit of Macy's, like good deals at Macy's. They didn't go get the Polo Ralph Lauren's. We don't need big ticket items.
Is Neiman Marcus big ticket? I'm not as familiar with that brand.
Neiman Marcus is the big box store where they sell like the Gucci, the Prada, the Fendi, like all designer, like high-end designer, Balenciaga.
Gotcha.
So yeah, they need to be shopping more like not at the top end, but right below it. Yep. More like a Nordstrom's. Nordstrom's a little bit below. That's where they need to be at.
Not Nordstrom Rack though.
No, I would take depending on the piece, depending on what we're talking. Nordstrom Rack has good deals. Like,
it does. I've bought a lot of my clothes there. It's a good spot.
That's what I'm saying. They need to go be shopping at that range. Again, they need to go make improvements. And like I said, this should be bare minimum for you guys. You guys need to be getting more. Again, looking at the AL, wide open. I won't repeat it, but you guys already get the gist.
And the other move that happened today, blockbuster, barn burner, story of all of baseball. Yankees re-sign our left-handed pitcher Ryan Yarbrough to a 1-year, $2.5 million deal that includes an additional $250,000 in performance bonuses available to him. Pitched for the Yankees last year, 19 games, 8 starts, pitched to a 94 ERA plus and a 4.36 ERA in general. Rotation depth, bullpen help, long relief guy, going to eat innings in blowouts in the regular season, maybe get some starts with Cole banged up at the start of the season. 2.5 is not much. I think he was at 2 last year, so a little bit of a raise for Mr. Yarbrough. Yankees needed a swing arm. I mean, it's a good guy to have in your team for a regular season piece, but not a playoff guy.
But it doesn't move the needle. I mean, I kind of think Mr. Yarbrough last season for Ryan Yarbrough. I think he was one of those guys that they overused him at the start of the season. And I know they did all the pitching adjustments that we talked about and how he was a revelation and whatnot. But as it is in baseball, you see these rookies and guys when they make these huge changes. Once there's enough film on you, and once these coaches are able to deep dive you and find out the intricacies and the little things and nuances, like they were just having their day. And if I don't believe it was the LA start that he blew up, right? Or was it Boston start?
I think it was the Dodgers in out in Dodger
You know,
Stadium.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
the Yankees lost like 20-1 or something that game.
And then
They,
he wasn't the same, and then he got hurt. That's
yeah,
my whole thing. It's just like, okay, Yankees, you're gonna go get Yarbrough, you're gonna get a swing arm, but like, what else are you gonna do? We want to see moves again. You see all these teams making moves, and what are you doing? Like Hal Steinbrenner, open this checkbook. You just had Aaron Judge win the MVP. Are you gonna really waste a generational talent, once in a lifetime talent? I mean, Alex Rodriguez retired, and then the next day you get Aaron Judge. Like, what is this? Like, we need to see him play more World Series, and they have to spend money. I'm like, yeah, Ryan Yarbrough is great, but what is it doing to anything else? I know it's to start, but like, we need to see moves. I need to be seeing links. I need to be seeing links with every top free agent. And I don't want to see links like just because you're driving with the price. I want to see substantial links that you're in talks.
I was at the A-Rod last game and then the Judge debut the next day. Very lucky to not plan that at all, but was there. And it wasn't the Dodgers start that he blew up. He was actually really good. That was the game the Yankees won. He went 6 innings, 1 earned. It was the start before that. It was the Red Sox start where he went 4 innings, 8 earned.
That's right.
Yeah, he wasn't good. So, yeah, I mean, they got Hill back. They got Yarbrough back. Maybe those are the lefty bullpen guys. I think they probably still bring in another reliever. We'll see if they tender Mark Leiter Jr. a contract. Qualifying offer deadline is tomorrow, the 18th. We're recording this on the 17th. So we'll see if Trent Grisham picks up his option. Very curious to see what happens there. And then I think the non-tender deadline is Friday. And Leiter is the one guy that's kind of a question mark there for the Yankees, even though there should be some other guys, specifically shortstops, that would be in that conversation. But we're not going to go down that road. We're going to move now into 3 topics. So, well, 6 total. We've each chosen 3 topics across the game of baseball that have caught our mind, piqued our interest over the past week or so since our last episode. We're just going to go back and forth and talk about them. This is peak off-season content, but I do think there are some good things on these lists here that we can get to today. And Luis, I'll let you start it with your topic numero uno.
So we talk about, you talk about the domino. What's the big domino? And I feel like this year, there's, like you said, there's not one really big domino this year. Like Kyle Tucker is probably going to take his time. We'll probably sign in a couple weeks. There's no big fish like hitter. Like, they are big hitters in the market, but not like that big fish like a Juan Soto or a Aaron Judge like we've seen in the past. My topic is I want to see what happens with the reliever market this year. The reliever market's quite interesting. I mean, there's a lot of guys this season that a lot of household names, I'd like to say. And when we talk about building championship contenders and building playoff teams, one of the biggest things all these teams are doing are the bullpen. What are you doing in the bullpen? Do you have those arms to get you to the ninth to your closer? Do you have a closer? Like, what's going on? And I feel like every team's always trying to get their bullpen better. And when you look at that, my list of guys, you got Edwin Diaz, 1. You have Robert Suarez, Raciel Iglesias, Ryan Helsley, Devin Williams, Kenley Jansen, Tyler Rogers, Kirby Yates, David Robertson, Emilio Pagan, Luke Weaver, Jacob Junis, just Kyle Finnegan, Gregory Soto, Brad Keller, just those are, and Sir Anthony Dominguez. Those are just a couple guys that they're household names. They're really good relievers, and I do feel like a lot of teams are going to be blowing money on these relievers. Like, you feel like, okay, these teams are going to be blowing a lot of money on hitters. I kind of think it's going to be the opposite this season with the amount of relievers. I mean, there's just too many good ones, and everybody's looking for relief pitching that I feel like you can never have enough good pitching. It's like in NFL. You can never have enough DBs in football. You could always have DBs and edge rushers, and that's what I feel the relief pitchers are. Relief pitchers are DBs and edge rushers. You can never have enough.
So, yeah, it's a really good reliever class, and there are going to be a lot of teams that are going to be spending money on those relievers this offseason. A team we've heard about is Toronto. It seems like every inclination we've heard is that Toronto is going to be very active this winter. Obviously re-signing Bo Bichette is going to be a big priority for them, but it seems like they're looking for a closer. And Jeff Hoffman will move to the 8th inning. which is a bit cruel for Hoffman because he was incredible in the playoffs. But what is everyone going to remember the most from Jeff Hoffman 2025 postseason? Of course, the Miguel Rojas home run.
Or you're going to remember how he was in the regular season, where he did have issues, and we did talk about last year. He did. Who knows? He could get converted into a starter. That was a big thing that they were talking about when he signed with Atlanta, or I can't remember. I know he signed with Atlanta, and then he failed the physical, and then Baltimore tried to sign him, or was the other way around. But I do remember.
I can't remember. He had some physical issues. Yep.
Yeah. So when I look at it, man, it's just like, so there's so many relievers and so many teams that need relievers. I mean, you can make an argument that every contender needs a reliever. The Dodgers need relievers. The Yankees need relievers. The Mets need relievers. Everybody needs them, and it's going to be a bidding war. For example, we can talk about Edwin Diaz. He has links to the Yankees. How do you feel about that? The Yankees and Mets bidding war.
Did you see that he wants to get a deal similar to the one he just signed? I think it was like 5 years, 102. He wants to get paid. I think that's what the last deal was. Could be wrong on that. That was just off the top of the head.
He wants hater money, essentially.
Yeah, he wants to sign a deal similar to the one that he signed in his previous deal with the Mets. I can pull it up.
I mean, it's just interesting. I think it's just interesting to me. I mean, there's just so many that it's just like Josh Hader has 19, 5 years, 95.
I was way wrong. 3 years, 65 was the deal he signed with the Mets. Yeah. Is that right? He really signed with them in 2023?
Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting. I mean, what do you think about these relievers? Like, if you had to pick one, who's the one that you're like, let's play superlatives here.
Mm-hmm.
Pick a sleeper. Pick one that you keep away from a 10-foot pole that you really don't want, and a guy that you think will be worth the money. Just go ahead.
Guy that I don't want is Raciel Iglesias. Just ask any Braves fan. Feel like he's very inconsistent. When he's on, yeah, it's nasty. It's a question of him actually getting to that point. Not a huge Iglesias guy. He's also older, 36. And then I have, Devin Williams is the natural sleeper. I think he's going to be worth the money that he gets paid, just because I feel like he's maybe a little bit underrated. But maybe he's underrated to the point now where everyone's kind of talking about him, hyping up his value, and he's actually going to end up getting paid. Dodgers, I think, are going to be in that conversation. We talked about that last week.
Reds are in the conversation. Marlins are in the convo. Raciel Iglesias, I heard he's in the conversation for the Dodgers. So,
and then I think Edwin Diaz will be the best reliever off the board. I think he's proven that over the course of his career. He's worth the money. He's only 32, been in the league for 9 years. Just think he's quality. Robert Suarez, 35, a little bit older. And then in terms of sleepers,
you already said Devin Williams was your sleeper.
Yeah, but I feel like that one's too easy. So I'm going to give another one. I think Brad Keller, but he could end up getting overpaid after a career year. But that's a guy that not many people are talking about. I just had it. Oh, I think Kenley Jansen, a podcast I was listening to, had him going back to the Dodgers, but I think he's really going to push after 500 career saves. I don't think he's going to go to the Dodgers. I think he's going to go to kind of like similar to what he did with the Angels, and you sign with maybe a bad team, but you're the closer. Like, there's no argument. Like, no one's taking your spot because they don't really care about winning. And he's going to be that dude. I don't know how many he is at right now.
You'll be a 500 baseball club. That's what he's looking for. 500, like, he natural fit.
Cardinals.
Well, that's a good one. But natural fit even at I was going to say he was going to be a natural fit at the A's.
Could see it. Could see them. I mean, they need a closer. He's at career saves 476, so he needs 24 saves next year.
Let's go to the A's. Go to Sacramento.
I could see it. What about your Marlins? Probably not, right? I think they're kind of trying to be good next year.
I mean, we're in the Devin Williams talks, so we'll see what happens. I mean, look, I just think the reliever market is like, don't want to get too caught up in this, but I think the reliever market's supremely interesting. And I feel like it's going to be a carousel. Well, it's like a musical chair. It's like, for example, if Edwin Diaz, let's say, goes to the Yankees, the Mets are going to have to make a move. Not because, one, the Yankees made a move and they lost their closer. Two, most importantly, that's the two things.
The reliever market, yeah, and that's true. The reliever market is so freaking interesting to me because, I mean, think about it. Last year, the highest paid reliever in the offseason was Tanner Scott, who signed for $72 million, and he was a complete non-factor. I mean, he struggled for the Dodgers and then was a complete non-factor in the playoffs. I know he had an injury, but they weren't necessarily rushing him back to to pitch for them in the postseason. He was like the prized guy last winter. Second highest paid reliever last year was Jeff Hoffman, who was up and down in the regular season, but still really good and was outstanding in the postseason. And the third highest paid in terms of total money was Carlos Estevez, who led the league in saves. He was incredible. So the reliever market is just such a crapshoot. Like, relievers are so mercurial. You don't know what you're going to get from them year in and year out, which is why I find it so interesting. And I would, if I was a GM, I would be a little hesitant to go out and give a top dude in terms of a reliever big money, just because you don't know what you're going to get. That said, I do think Edwin Diaz is going to be worth the money because he's proven that year in, year out.
So if you're the Yankees, you're giving Edwin Diaz a contract. I've asked this question about like 3 times on pod, and you've kind of evaded.
No, because I trust the Yankees to do well with cheaper relievers and kind of workshop them. Clay Holmes, they did it. Luke Weaver, they did it. They can get the best out of these relievers.
But here's my thing. You play super games, play super prizes. Look what happened to Clay Holmes last year. Look what happened to Luke Weaver this year. It's kind of like you pay what you get. I think you gotta think about that.
If you bargain bin, like, the quality is eventually gonna show. You know, if you buy a, I don't know, whatever brand sweater and it's a little bit cheaper, it's gonna wear and tear quicker. It's gonna fall apart. But if you buy a good brand, quality's there. It's gonna stay longer. Yeah, that's fair. I don't think the Yankees' offseason priority number one should be to spend big on a reliever.
Do you think it's organizational malpractice
To spend that money?
To spend that amount of money with what the needs are for the team?
I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's organizational malpractice.
With David Bednar already there? Or you just trade?
Yeah, but Bednar's great, but I think he would be fine being in the 9th inning.
So where do you think Diaz ends up going?
I think Diaz, it's either Dodgers or back to the Mets.
I think he's going to be a Dodger.
Do you think he's going to be a Dodger?
With a bunch of deferred money.
That's the thing about the Naylor deal. No deferred money. They're just paying the contract. Hats off to them.
No deferred money and full trade, no clip trade clause. So, So hey, congrats.
Hopefully that never comes into the conversation for Seattle, a trade.
Yeah. All right. So what's your topic of debate?
Yeah, my first topic. I feel like MLB gets the whole award rollout wrong, and obviously it's the Baseball Writers Association of America that votes on the main awards: Cy Young, MVP, Rookie of the Year, Manager of the Year. So it's not necessarily MLB itself; it's not their awards. But you mean to tell me they can't come to some type of agreement to include those main awards in the MLB awards show that they do on Thursday night? Because I can't tell you how many baseball fans, what were the ratings like for that MLB award show? I mean, I'm one of the biggest baseball fans I know, and I did not tune into that. I didn't care about that. They weren't announcing any of the major awards, so what's the point of tuning in? And the way they do the main awards is it's a studio show, MLB Network, over the course of 4 days, Monday through Thursday. They announce the awards, and the nominees, they're calling in via Zoom. And for Rookie of the Year, you didn't have Roman Anthony there. For MVP, you didn't have Jose Ramirez there. It just doesn't feel like a big deal at all. And these are very big awards. They are the biggest awards baseball has to offer. They have tons of historical context. These are debates that people are going to talk about for years on end. They're going to talk about, when all things are settled, Aaron Judge's career is over. They're going to talk about how many MVPs he won. And it just doesn't feel like a big deal at all when they're announcing these awards. I feel like they could do a much better job with it. I think there should be some type of agreement between the Writers Association and MLB to allow them to announce these awards at the MLB award show, make that feel like a bigger deal than it is right now. And I think MLB would come out and tell you, well, we don't think we're big enough to have an award show where we invest a lot in trying to make it a big deal, because by mid-November, people don't care about baseball anymore. They're onto football, basketball. And I think that's a fair argument, but it's not a big deal because you're not trying to make it a big deal. So try to make it a bigger deal than it is. I don't know when you do it. Do you do it during the postseason? That's probably pretty tricky. I get having it after the season right now in this time frame, but I just think they should do a better job making it feel bigger than it is.
My thing is Do award shows even work in professional sports? Do you watch the NBA award show? Do you watch the NFL award show the night before the Thursday before the Super Bowl? Do you watch them?
Does NBA even have them? I think they do them during
They
the
ha-
playoffs.
they had one. They had it.
They
Used to
they
in
had
the
it for
South.
like yeah, and it was a
Yeah.
disaster. No one
Well,
watched.
the NBA always tries things and it always goes poorly. That's just been the NBA in the past decade. They try some new thing and everybody hates it, and then they're like, "Stop it!" They just can't get it right. That's just the NBA with Adam Silver lately.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true. For the NFL one, no, I do not watch it now.
Did you
What
watch? Do you watch the monologue, Key and Peele monologue? Do you watch Keegan Michael Key do this monologue? I think everybody just takes clips out of these award shows. So I just think making a whole production, just like I don't want to say a waste of money because hey, who am I to judge how you want to spend your money? Everybody has different wants and needs in life, so go ahead. My whole thing is I think the NBA does it right in a way where they do it before in a prime time setting, right before the playoff game. So for a lot of times we've seen, I think some of the best iconic moments, for example, I remember back I can't remember if it was 18, 17 or 19, but this is when Stephen Curry won his MVP. They have him raising up the MVP trophy in front of the fans and he goes ballistic after in that game. I think that would be pretty cool if you announce them right before the game and you present the trophy during a playoff game if they're still in the playoff, because I think that's a very cool moment. Again, it's a team award for one, but it's also the fans should be able to get a gist and should be able to have a feel of celebrating this award. I mean, as a fan, you watch all 162 Yankees games when you can. I mean, you feel like you're a part of this, like watching these seasons. And for Judge, you feel like you're a part of the journey that he's been on 162. You remember the game in Kansas City when he went on the huge run in Kansas City. You remember the injury when he had his elbow injury. Like, you remember these moments, and I feel fans should be able to experience it as well.
You convinced me. I think NBA does it the best way. I think that makes a ton of sense.
And it,
Award
and
show
it,
for baseball, yeah. I don't know if an award show for sports actually makes sense.
And if you can't do it, just do it just zoom them in. Like, for example, I remember one year was that Jaren or Ja won most improved, and the Grizzlies weren't in the playoffs, and they just zoomed to his house. Or it was the day before the playoff game, and they just zoomed into his house, and they were like, "Hey, how do you feel?" He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna give this to Desmond Bain," or "Oh, cool," like things like that. I just feel like that'd be pretty cool. The
Yeah.
thing is that MLB platform right now, MLB media needs to improve as a whole, and I think that MLB is doing a really good job on how to improve MLB media. As in the case like an NBA, you have personalities that you go watch. You watch Shaq, Chuck, and Kenny, and Ernie Johnson. You have those guys like leading the charge. In NFL, you have these great leadoff shows. You have Shannon Sharp. You have, for example, Monday Night Football, you have Randy Moss and Chris Berman. You have those characters and personalities. And MLB, who really is the personality? When you think about MLB media, like, unless you're a diehard guy, who are you thinking about?
Like for the casual, common baseball fan that maybe tunes in for the playoffs, who's like the number one MLB sports media talking
I
head?
mean, I mean, people think about the Fox team, but like, do we really think about them? Do you really think Derek Jeter, A Rod, and David Ortiz? Do you really think about them as media personalities? You think about more of them as players first than media personalities. Like when you say Charles
Yeah.
Barkley and Kenny Smith and Ernie Johnson, you think about the TNT crew. When you think about Shannon Sharp, you don't think about, and then no offense to Shannon Sharp, great Hall of Fame player, but you think about his show and his antics that he does on a show with Ocho Cinco on Nightcap, and you also think about Randy Moss and Alex Smith and all those guys and the Kelsey brothers. Like, that's what you think.
You could say like John Boy. Is
Is
he
it
big
casual?
enough though? He's not. He's not on
That's,
network TV.
that's what I'm saying. You don't think about that. You don't. And that's things where I think Manfred's trying to fix it.
Is that a more of an indication on the sport itself, or is it an indication on just they don't have anyone that stepped up? Maybe we're forgetting somebody right now.
I mean, Fox. You got the Fox cast. You got the Pedro Martinez, Jimmy Rollins on TBS, Lauren
But
Shahadi.
the thing is, like
But they're
those
not
Fox guys, the,
people.
the Fox guys aren't on there enough. It's just during the postseason and like
And you
the
think
All
about
Star
their
game.
playing careers. You think about their playing careers before because they
I
only
still
show
think
up.
you think of I still think you think of Shaq's playing career, but those guys are on essentially the whole regular season and then all of the playoffs. I feel like A-Rod and Jeter and those guys, they only bring out that A crew for Fox pregame, postgame during the playoffs and the All-Star game. That's it.
I don't think about Ortiz and the Yankees lose. That's the only thing. But
Yeah.
yeah. Um,
What's your number two?
Number two, Hall of Fame ballot got released today. Quickly, I mean, we have 12 new candidates, first timers, 15 holdovers. You need 75% to be inducted. Just a couple new guys. Ryan Braun's a first timer. Probably won't make it because of the PEDs that he was popped for back in the biogenesis scandal. Matt Kemp, Rick Porcello, Cole Hamels. Cole Hamels probably has the best opportunity to make it. I mean, you look at Cole Hamels, his career. He's only in the wild card era, and this is from MLB.com. Only 3 lefty pitchers have finished with 9 seasons of at least 4 B WAR. That would be Randy Johnson, Clayton Kershaw, and Cole Hamels. 3 All-Star selections, 3 top 10 Cy Young top 10 Cy Young finishes, 114 victories, third most in franchise history, and 1,844 strikeouts. Only Justin Verlander and King Felix have more Ks during that 10-year period. So, I mean, when you look at the ballot, we might go a year that we might not get an induction. Torrey Hunter's on the ballot, Andrew Jones, Dustin Pedroia, Manny Ramirez, and A-Rod. And J-Roll, Andy Pettit. A lot of steroid dudes in that list. Don't know if we'll get to that magical 75%.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll have – definitely out of the new guys, I don't think there's going to be anybody that makes it. To your point, Cole Hamels is probably has the best chance out of the new guys, but I don't think he's going to be there. Like you said, a lot of steroid dudes. I mean, there's some dudes on there every year where I'm kind of like, he's on there. This year, no offense, Gio Lopez. Don't know how he's on there. Cole Hamels, I don't think he's going to make it. Nick Markakis, one of my favorite players growing up, just because, I don't know, he was always solid for the Orioles, and I like those Orioles teams when they were good with like Andrew Jones. Or sorry, not Andrew Jones, freaking center fielder. Why? Adam Jones. Daniel Murphy, legendary playoff run in 15, but he's not going to make it. Yeah, I don't know. We might not get anybody, but there is the contemporary ballot that people can make it off of. And that has Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Carlos Delgado, Jeff Kent, Don Mattingly, Dale Murphy, Gary Sheffield, and Fernando Venezuela. I think those guys have a better chance. And that's only a panel of 16 members. So you have to get 75% of the 16. So
I think it's tough. It's just my thing. It's tough. I mean, look at last year. A-Rod had 37.1%, and he was 5th in his 5th year. Manny's going to his last year of eligibility coming up, 34.3%. So
I think with MLB and I think they should be more open to years where they just don't have anybody in the Hall of Fame. I think we've seen it with the NBA. There's been a lot of years where not really anybody is worthy of Hall of Fame status, but they're like, well, we got to induct somebody. We got to have the ceremony. And that's kind of
that's more NFL, is what you're saying, like NFL.
And it's kind of taken away from like the prestige of the museum, the Hall of Fame. I don't know if that's going to happen with MLB this year. I feel this way about the Heisman in college football, especially this year. And I harken back to the Sawamura Award and how they don't award the award that year if they don't deem anybody to be deserving. They actually awarded it this year, but did not last year in 2024. I think the Heisman, and this is off topic, but who the hell deserves the Heisman this year? Nobody. There's no Heisman quarterback.
I don't want to open that can of worms because you will get me going. Pause for a while, like on that.
There's nobody deserving. I think they should just say, like it's a prestigious award. You're one of the best college football players of all time. I'm sorry, there's just no one having a season worthy of the Heisman this year. I think they should punt it to next year and just say no one deserving. And that's totally fine. They do it in Japan for their Cy Young Award. I feel that way this year about the Heisman. Come at me, I don't care.
Exactly. But what do you think of Hall of Fame? I mean, it's a shame with A-Rod. I mean, we could talk about A-Rod. I mean, he's a big thing, but
you want to talk Alex versus A-Rod? I know we both watched the first 2 episodes.
That's my thing. I mean, I think it's pretty good. Again, I take things with a grain of salt because it is an A-Rod-led production, it seems like. I mean, they're not going to talk about a lot of things. I mean, there were some things where I was like, hey, boss, you gotta give me a little something. Like, we got to talk about, you can't act like, they did the scene that he stood at Central Park without a T-shirt. Like, come on, man. Like, you're freaking A-Rod. Like, there's certain things that if you're at a certain, like, status of in life of like status in society, you can't be doing. Like, come on, man.
They didn't gloss over the steroids, but they didn't necessarily go in as much detail as I would have liked with what happened, what he was taking, who gave it to him, why he did it, stuff like that. It was more of like his reaction to it. Fair enough. Have learned some things. I honestly didn't know about his dad leaving. I
Katie
didn't know
Couric.
Katie Couric, that interview. I didn't know he lied to her. I didn't know about I didn't know he was from the Bronx and then moved back to the Dominican and then Miami. Knew he was the highly touted prospect. He debuted when he was 18. That's pretty crazy. I didn't know, obviously, that he hadn't talked to his dad in like 10 years, 15 years or something. And then when he was with the Mariners, his ex-wife essentially got him and his dad together, and he came to visit him while he was playing in Minnesota for a week, for a weekend, whatever, for a series. And they got
Father's Day weekend, yeah.
They got 2 hotel rooms conjoining. They met in the middle, in like the suite area, the lounge area, whatever. And they hashed it out. They talked. It seems like A-Rod did not forgive his dad, and then played like the best baseball of his career that series, and none of his teammates ever knew the whole background behind it. I didn't know that whole part about his dad. But to your point, it is an A-Rod led production, like so many documentaries are these days. They're led by the person, so you got to take everything with a grain of salt. Like, you don't know how much truth. I'll be very curious to see how they handle the biogenesis stuff in the Thursday episode.
There's the biogenesis. There's just like, I bet they glossed over, because a lot of, like, I remember A-Rod growing up, they forget about the moments of him like being like the dude, like the big man on the block. Like, we know he was a big man on the block, but like, especially with his wife and his divorce, I mean, that was always a thing. I remember when they were playing in Detroit, he was flirting with the girls up in up in the club, not the clubhouse, but on top of the dugout. Before there wasn't screens. Like, we used to live in the area. We forget about those things. So it's just very interesting. I mean, I forget how good A-Rod was.
Oh yeah.
I think we do. So I definitely did tune back and watch some A-Rod highlights. Great defender, shortstop, third baseman. I mean, the whole Boston thing, I kind of felt he kind of overblew. Like, oh, I've never talked about this conversation before. And I'm like, bro, I think it was the worst kept secret. Like, if you keep up with baseball, that the Red Sox wanted A-Rod.
I think everybody knew that. And they didn't talk about the Aaron Boone basketball injury, the whole reason the Yankees went out to go and trade for A-Rod.
That's a big one, yeah.
They didn't even talk about that. Like that, I feel like that's a huge piece. They're just like, oh yeah, and by the way, he got traded to the Yankees, and now he's with the Yankees. They spent a lot of time with like his individual seasons in that second episode with the Yankees, and I feel like, yeah, it was a little bit too much baseball oriented. I know it sounds crazy. More off the field stuff, I feel like could have been a little more interesting, or more like on the steroid piece of it, because that's whether you like it or not. And I know A-Rod's leading the documentary. Like, that's just a huge piece of his legacy. When you look at some of these numbers on Baseball Reference, it's just insane. But steroids is always going to be a part of that conversation. So
you're always going to talk about steroids with A-Rod. I feel that's the unfortunate thing. And I mean, like I said, episode 2 was pretty good. Enjoyed episode 1 a little bit more. Didn't enjoy how glossed over some things in his personal life, because I did feel like for him, his personal life really did affect him on the field.
Definitely, especially with the Yankees. And unfortunately, like, I feel this way about so many steroid era guys. I know everyone was doing it, but if A-Rod didn't do steroids, he still would have been so freaking good. He would have been a Hall of Famer if he was clean. Same thing with Barry Bonds. Would have been a Hall of Famer. Probably wouldn't have the home run record, but he'd still be in Cooperstown. So I know everyone was doing it, but there's guys that are.
I want to say one thing. My one takeaway was that I think it was, he said that Mickey Mantle. Oh, if Mickey Mantle said, I think it was, I can't remember who it was. Then Mickey Mantle said that, he would do it if he had the opportunity to. Well, it just talks about performance anxiety, how these guys are really like, have to live up to these. They're human. We talk about they're human, but yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. In a sport that is so performance oriented and so revolves around failure, every little way you can get an edge on the competition, people are going to try to do it. And a lot of times, or, for a lot of these players, when they started taking the steroids, it wasn't against the rules. So can you really blame him? I don't know. A-Rod, in his case, the second time he got caught, he was completely at fault. And that stained his legacy, because people just they didn't trust him. And he said it in the documentary after he got caught the first time. He said, trust me or listen to me from now on, from this point forward. And then he gets popped again. And people are still getting popped. Jerson Profar got popped this year.
Yeah.
Jose Alvarado got popped this year. So it's still happening. Tatis got popped.
Yeah.
Clase got popped. Logan Webb. Didn't you say Logan Webb got popped? I totally forgot about
Clase got popped for more than just steroids. Let's slow it down.
He did.
He's so done. So, but yeah, that's a little bit thing. What do you got now?
Yeah, second thing. And I know there's been a lot of talk about this the past couple of days, but we have talked about the awards a little bit, and maybe we can talk about those in this segment, how the voting shook out. But I'm very curious to see when someone not named Shohei Ohtani will win National League MVP. Ohtani's won 3 out of the last 4 MVPs. He won one as a DH by himself. I feel like when we look back on this 20 years from now, people are going to forget that Ohtani won the 2024 MVP and he wasn't pitching that year. He was just so good in the DH role that he won the MVP. But realistically, if Ohtani stays healthy, who is beating him out for MVP in the National League? I don't think it's going to happen. And then you look at him historically, he's got 4 MVPs already under his belt. He's 31 years old, turns 32 in July 5th. If he stays healthy, he pitches and hits for 158, 160 games, whatever, probably going to win the MVP unless someone goes absolutely insane the way Aaron Judge did in 2022 and Ohtani finished second that year. Bonds' record is 7. Ohtani's going to be in his prime for at minimum 4-5 more years. We could very well see Ohtani break Barry Bonds' all-time record of 7 MVPs, which is something that when Bonds retired, nobody thought was possible. The way Bonds was so dominant in the later stages of his career for various reasons that we don't need to get into, certainly contributed to that performance. But I don't know what somebody can do to beat Ohtani if he's pitching and hitting in the same year. It's an interesting conversation. I don't know if you want to have that conversation, but it is something that has been on my mind the past week.
I mean, Barry Bonds is a player, Ohtani's a player. I mean, I've kind of thought about, my thing with Ohtani is I just want to see some consistency in the playoff moments. That's one of the things. And I mean, watching the A-Rod doc, I want to see more from Ohtani in the playoffs. And I wish when we look at MVP, we would take into account a little bit of the postseason, but it's impossible because it's a 162. I think we should institute a playoff MVP. But in regards to
that's a good point. And Bill Simmons has been on that in the NBA. Not just a World Series MVP, but a full playoff MVP. Yeah, because that gives you a better sense of who was the best player in the postseason, for sure.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. would have won that, in my opinion, or Yamamoto. Yamamoto would have had a case.
Yeah,
but those would have been the two. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
And then you fall into the argument of like, oh, I played more games or less games. But again, honestly, we got to see him perform year in and year out. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. It's like we're thinking too far down the line with the breaking the record. Like, yeah, you can think about it and you can put it into your mind. You can file that into the filing cabinet and save it, put the clip in the vault. But I just think we're getting too ahead of ourselves. What if he gets hurt? What if the Dodgers have a decline? What if another scandal on Ohtani comes out and he gets suspended? Again, it's a lot right now.
Yeah. I got to sneeze 1 second. It's only 3 more though, and he's in his prime. He won MVP again. Schwarber was second. Soto third.
Let's see how it happens this year. Let's see the next 2 seasons.
Allergies are acting up on me.
William, so now that we got your second done, what's your third?
Can we just talk quickly about the third place MVP voting or the third place MVP finisher in the American League?
Yeah, we can talk
Jose
about
Ramirez.
I mean, again, another guy that if didn't exist in this era would probably have a bunch of MVPs, and probably if he was in a bigger market would have a lot more MVPs. But he plays in Ohio and Cleveland, no shot. I mean, William could be jumping for joy because he thinks I'm finally taking a shot at Ohio. But I feel like Jose Ramirez would be a more highly regarded player to the casual fan if he played in someone other than Cleveland, and if he played in an era without guys like Judge, Trout. And I know coulda, woulda, shoulda, but I mean, he's still a great ball player.
Yeah, so that's the point. The second point you made there is I just think he's a great player, but he's not on the level of Aaron Judge and Mike Trout. two guys obviously that he's coincided with. But when you look at his MVP finishes, it's pretty astounding. Starting in 2017, MVP 3, 18 MVP 3, 2020 MVP 2, 2021 MVP 6, 2022 MVP 4, 2023 MVP 10, MVP 5 in 2024, and then 2025 MVP 3. I mean, this is next level consistency here from Jose Ramirez, and I think MLB Network during the award show they flashed the other third baseman to do it and to have that many MVP placements, top 5 or whatever it was, and like Mike Schmidt and Brooks Robinson, and like you're talking some of the best third basemen in the history of the sport, Hall of Famers. When you look at his accomplishments on his Baseball Reference, right now it's just 7-time All-Star, 6-time Silver Slugger, but there's so much more to him that year, so much more to the player. He's only got 6 bolded numbers on the Baseball Reference, which is for leading the league in stat categories, and 2 of those are intentional walks, which is impressive. But I feel like people might forget 20 years from now just how good J-Ram was. The guy's incredible. I know he didn't win, but MVP 3 feels right again this year. And then otherwise, in terms of the awards, I think they got them all right. The only one that I didn't agree with was
Gold Gloves. Gold Gloves are terrible. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say Stephen Vogt winning Manager of the Year, but then again, he did have guys actively trying to throw games, so that is pretty impressive that he's able to claw that team into the playoffs. But I thought Josh Naylor should have got it.
I mean, we were pretty dead on, but I mean, we got to talk about those Gold Gloves. They were terrible.
Okay.
Some of those Gold Gloves are terrible. I mean, I had some stats pulled up. We haven't talked about it because we've been having them on the back burner in regards to what's awards. We wanted to hold it for the Gold Gloves, but the Gold Gloves were terrible. I mean, there was one really bad one. I can't remember.
So we had in the American League, Ty France, Marcus Semien, Maikel Garcia, Bobby Witt, Stephen Kwan, Cedar Rafaela, Will Yarbrough, Dylan Dingler, that was bad, Max Fried, Mauricio Dubon. I thought it should have been Alejandro Kirk, which I feel like we've actually already talked about that.
We talked about Alejandro Kirk. I mean, the Blue Jays had a bunch of defensive guys that should have made it. I mean, Ernie Clement had a really big case.
Dubon was a better utility glove than him, respectfully.
Dubon, I mean, we could talk about PCA. That's the one that got debated on the net.
By who? Who did they have over him?
God, I'm trying to pull it up. I had some things saved that it was like
PCA deserving.
I mean, we'll see, but yeah.
In the National League, it was Olsen, Horner, Brian Hayes, Mason Wynn, Ian Happ, PCA. Tatis won the Platinum Glove, which was crazy.
That's the one. The Tatis one was the Platinum one. Like, you can't say that name doesn't come into effect about that one.
And then it was Patrick Bailey, Logan Webb, and Javier Sanoja. But yeah, Tatis getting the Platinum over Patrick Bailey to me was astounding.
That's the one. Did say Patrick Bailey could be on the block. They considered moving him. So,
MLB or Team USA, WBC, third catcher.
That's a pod. That's a whole pod. I don't want to open those rooms tonight.
Well, we did have that news that PCA and Corbin Carroll committed. PCA committed to being a defensive replacement. A lot of people saying he's going to start. I'm like, I don't know if you want that bat in the lineup. You want the glove.
Yeah. But he'll be your 9th inning Justin Dean replacement.
Justin Dean.
Andy Pages, 9th inning against Japan.
Where is Pages? Cuban. Who? Well, Kike Hernandez. Tough news for your squad.
Hey, Puerto Rico, and Mexico will be struggling. Gonna be on the struggle bus.
You got Lindor. Who else?
Lindor. I mean, who else we got? Edwin Diaz, if he doesn't blow his Achilles.
That was insane. That was crazy.
His brother's terrible. We really don't have Jose Barrios is probably going to loop a couple curveballs in for some home runs against Team USA. Who knows what Marcus Stroman decides when he wants to pitch for America or if he wants to pitch for Puerto Rico. Going to be interesting, but that's a whole podcast. William, what's your third thing? We're getting sidetracked tonight.
Third thing. So I know there's been a lot of discussion around betting in sports, and we've had the scandals in Major League Baseball with Clase and everything, but this isn't necessarily a commentary on that. It's not a commentary on the issues that we have right now with like Jonte Porter and Clase and stuff like that. It's more of just a commentary on the fans in general. And what happened to watching sports for just the love of the game? Because I feel like nowadays all we see, all sports is consumed through the lens of betting. Every top podcast on the sports charts revolve their show in some way around gambling. And I mean, you think about it, Bill Simmons, one of my favorite podcasts, sometimes, maybe not as much now because I don't really care about the NBA anymore, but gambling 24/7. You can't turn on a sports game without something related to gambling. The same game parlay ads, and then the commercial breaks, and it's at least one DraftKings or FanDuel ad. Even Sports Center, like ESPN itself, they promote gambling 24/7. Like you can't, and then you go to like a bar or something to watch a game, and you hear people around you. All the conversation is around their various parlays and stuff. You can't. Very rarely do you see fans that actually just are watching the game because they care about the game. You hear more people talking about their parlays and everything. It's just kind of been bugging me. And I wonder where this all goes from here, especially with all the stuff that's been happening in game, issues with players and everything. But I just feel like we've gotten further away every single year since gambling's been legalized from people just watching sports because they enjoy the game. And we've seen increased stuff from players receiving like threats from fans because their parlay didn't hit because the player didn't have X amount of threes or X amount of hits or a home run, whatever. It's just I don't know. It's gone too far. And I feel like people should just get back to watching sports for why they became fans in the first place. And I know it's always been a thing in sports since the advent of them in general. Early 1900s, gambling was a huge problem in baseball. But now that it's legalized, just feels like, I don't know, people should watch sports for enjoyment versus betting.
I just think it's an integration thing. I mean, it gets fans involved. I mean, you can be a fan of a really bad team. And I know you talk about, being a fan of the Jets and those teams, and you got to take the small moral victories that are in the season because, again, there's only one champion. But I kind of feel like if you can, have some fun and joy in a team's misery, I think fans would enjoy that. I mean, think about being a fan of the Rockies or being a fan of the Pirates. I mean, every fifth day you got Paul Skeens. You can put a same game parlay of 10 strikeouts, plus then how many outs he gets through. I mean, it makes the game fun to some people. To me, I mean, that's messing with my money, as they would say, and I don't enjoy it. I just kind of got tired. I get tired of just like getting it forced down my throat. You can't go. It's like Hard Rock, MGM, FanDuel, DraftKings. It's so many. It's like, and the crazy thing is that it's now becoming so widely ingrained into the culture of sports. What happened to back in the day of watching just the aura of a player? Like the debates used to be like when you get the guys in the dorm room, the guys in the college dorm, because we were pre-advent sports betting. We were pre-sports betting till in our states where we're living in. We were pre. You'd be like, bro, let's watch Clayton Kershaw 2008 highlights, bro. Tavon Austin highlights right now. Dude, that spin move or that curveball, that fastball that Randy Johnson threw to kill the bird, crazy. Like that's gone. It's all now about, hey, what parlay should we talk about? Like what's the hit? Like,
That's all the conversation that young people are having around sports now, for sure. And
it's not talking about skill. We're not talking about like, hey, we're talking about, bro, that curveball's nasty, that crossover. No, it's like, oh, bro, 5 threes, Jonte Porter, Terry Rozier. Shohei Ohtani, man, he's gonna definitely nuke some bats out tonight. That's what our comments are now.
And I've said it before, like I think of a whole like when we were growing up, we didn't see any of the gambling stuff being forced down our throats the way it is now. And if I think of the young generation of fans coming up, where they're consuming sports too, and from a very nascent age, like you're very impressionable. And what do you do as a parent when they turn on the NFL this weekend and it's gambling 24/7 being advertised to these young kids, and they're going to grow up not knowing anything different. Like they're going to think it's normal and it's just a part of their sports viewing experience. And I didn't know what a spread was until I turned like 20 when I was in college, truthfully.
I had no idea what the minus over under until I had to like read it up and do research on it. But like to me, it's just kind of like it's gonna change how young people view sports in general. We're gonna stop looking at teams like as good and bad. We're gonna be like, oh, they're 8-2 against the spread. Oh, so they're a good team. Oh, this team covers, so they're good. Like we're gonna be viewing them as that. Or this player hits his, quotas and does this amount. Like, can you imagine, back in the day, like Chris Davis and Joey Gallo and Adam Dunn spreads on home runs? people would be like, oh, that's a good player. He's hitting 45, 50 home runs a season. When in reality, it's really not,
Well, yeah, people view players not based on skill. I see a lot of comments like, "Oh, well, he's been hitting my parlay lately, so I enjoy him as a player." It's like, dude, I don't know. It's just, it's not good for the discourse in sports right now. I don't think. I think we should. It won't happen, but we should try to get back to, for as like toxic as the Jordan LeBron debates are. Those are good debates to have.
Those are good debates. I
Yeah.
mean, we talk objectively. Like there's things that you can compare about, but no. So
Exactly. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't have a third thing to talk about. Mainly, we can talk about the Marlins spending report. That's kind of a big deal. We're a lower payroll team here in Miami. Bendix, is doing the low bar, but we'll see what they do this offseason. They're not going to be top of the market, but we'll be in the market for other dudes. We're going to try to aim higher. We might spend a little bit. Devin Williams, who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, it was an MLB trade rumors article. Bendix said, "We have put ourselves in a position based on the improvement we've made in 2025. We think we can put together a really exciting team for 2026 and also continue our quest to build a foundation of talent at all levels that will allow us to stay good for a long period of time." They all have only signed Tim Anderson, Eric Wagaman, and Cal Quantrill as free agents in his time as GM over there. But it seems like, yeah, to your point, they could be willing to spend a little bit more. They've been linked with some high-priced relievers. Reason for optimism in Miami right now. Maybe Kenley Jansen goes down there. I feel like that's a good fit.
We do need a closer. Could be a good veteran guy to have in, so we'll see what happens. The other things we could talk about: Paul Skeens, Yankees.
Not happening. He shot that down.
I shot that down.
He didn't really deny the quote, though. He just said that he is committed to Pittsburgh. He didn't say, "I don't want to go to New York."
How about the Padres potentially up for sale?
Yeah, that was big news. The main owner, Peter Seidler, that passed away, said he wanted to keep the team in the family. It's like one of his dying wishes, and then like a year later, it's up for sale. Kind of sad. So I think this means that the Padres are not going to be spending money this winter. That's tough news if you're a Padres fan.
It could be interesting to see.
They could be trading some of these big contracts too, or at least try to. I don't know who's going to take on like Bogarts. The one tradable guy there is Tatis, but you could argue he hasn't been playing up to that contract. But Tatis would be a big trade name. We'll see there.
You got anything else?
I don't think so. I think we hit on everything. This is fun. This was a nice back and forth. Yeah, good off-season pod. Had some news mixed in with just some things on our mind. Any final thoughts?
I'm ready to do more pods. I mean, we got a lot planned coming up here when we go home next week. I mean, I'll be home next week. You'll be home next week. Could have some special guests on the pod next week. Let's keep it at that.
Yeah, could have. Could be back later this week if there's news to talk about. If not, we'll be back in person next week. Got some fun pods on the docket. Maybe some special guests. We'll see.
We'll see special guests. Well, in-person special guests. There's going to be in-person special guests for that podcast.
Yeah, back to in-person, which we had a lot of fun doing that last time.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hopefully we get some more movement in free agency. The first domino has fallen, so that's always good. Luis, this was a lot of fun. Thanks as always. Good chopping it up in the off season. Thank you all for listening. Please hit that subscribe button, that like button on YouTube, and we will catch you guys either later in this week or early next week. Until then,